Hello, everyone. I'm back here with Mark Loeffler from the Mark Loeffler Experience. We're going to do a little video for everyone. Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
Morning, Mike. Good to see you, buddy.
You in the office over there?
I'm at the home office today. Yep.
Good. I see you got the Tavares jersey there. Your Leafs are doing pretty good.
I got Tavares. Oh, we got, I don't know if this one, I got the Wayne up there, Wayne Gretzky.
Okay,
I got a few around. Yeah.
that's good. Well, you got to enjoy some sports while you're sitting at home right now after the recent lockdown. Enjoying anything is nice now, isn't it?
Listen, I don't have TV. I can't watch sports. So
Oh,
I,
wow.
I I watch the highlights on YouTube and that's good enough for me. 8 minutes, perfect
Okay.
timing for my attention span.
Well, maybe after we do this, I can hook you up with my source for watching sports there too.
There you go.
That's okay. So, I mean, for all of our listeners and our people watching here, we haven't done a video in a couple weeks here, and we're coming back. And there's a lot that's happened since we did our last video. Obviously, the market really tanked for a lot of people, depending on what positions you were holding. If you were a Tesla holder or something like that, you lost quite a bit of your capital if you held through that. And now we've been waiting for stimulus, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. How's the past few weeks been for you, Mark?
Uh, it's been okay. I was in cash for for a lot of it. Been very selective in my positions. I went heavy on Friday when we saw a really good crush. I went heavy, but I went longer. So June, July expiries.
Good.
Um, what on some look just a couple things. So four stocks: Tesla, uh, Planters, no, Planet. What is it? Palantir.
Palantir, Palantir.
Palantir, a company called Fizz that does liqueur water, and then Uber.
And I like Uber. I've been talking about Uber. I mean, coming out of lockdown, we're not going to go back to regular society like pre-COVID, but anyone who wanted to go to a restaurant or go out that was in lockdown, a lot of those folks probably are going to use Uber and use restaurants and things like that. There should be certain sectors doing a little better now.
Well, I mean, it definitely like I know that my restaurants never did Uber Eats before, and now all my restaurants that's all like they're doing Uber Eats. So
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. I like Uber, and I believe that the recent pullback we had gave people an opportunity to buy it a little cheaper. I mean, can we go a little lower? We could, but I feel Uber's got a good future ahead of them right now. And the better the vaccinations and everything goes, the better it goes for Uber. People feel more comfortable being out.
yeah, I mean, you look at it, and in the States, they're saying they're going to be done by May, right?
Yeah, well, there's going to be a record number of vaccinations compared to what they were expecting.
Yeah,
And it seems as though the COVID statistics have been dropping already since they started vaccinating because they're vaccinating the high risk people who are most likely to get it. So those people now should not show up in the statistics quite as
yeah.
often, right? So
And then if you're asymptomatic, who cares?
there you go. So, okay, well, I think what we're going to do today, I think the audience would appreciate this too. I think we're going to go over kind of what happened in the market, maybe a couple ways that you could have played it if you weren't aware of it, and maybe how we feel about going forward from here, what's going to happen. So I'm just going to share my screen here, Mark,
Yep.
and we're going to get going here. Just before we get started here, I just want to mention to everyone, if you're not following my YouTube channel, feel free to go on YouTube, Invest Like Mike. And as you know, Mark Loeffler is the Mark Loeffler Experience. You can look him up and make sure you subscribe there. Mark,
You
what
can
are you up
definitely
to?
throw a link in the description.
Definitely, for sure. How many viewers are you up to now?
I think we're 3150 subscribers.
Yeah, your YouTube channel's been blowing up. I want to get mine to get to a higher. I have more people on Facebook than I do on YouTube, so I want to translate that over. I have a podcast that'll be coming out soon. We did a little teaser video here with Ben Gallander, and he's a common guest on BNN Bloomberg. He writes for the Globe and Mail as a contributor, and this is his website, contratheherd.com. So we're going to be having Benj on the podcast. I'm actually posting that in the next day or two, so that'll be interesting. And for anyone who's interested in getting a market outlook from someone who they've seen on BNN, that'll be an interesting little video that's getting posted. And Mark, I mean, we might as well just talk about it briefly here, but we're actually going to be having Mark on the podcast as my next guest as well. And I don't know exactly which week we're going to record it yet, Mark. We'll do it in the next couple of weeks probably. We'll figure out a date that works for both of us,
Sounds
and
good.
we can get that released later this month for the the next podcast. It's nice to have conversations where we can go into a little more depth and talk about with Benj Gallender, we were talking about life and investing and a bunch of different things, right? So
Yep.
it's nice that way. Okay, so let's get right into it here. Excuse me. So you can see here Tesla was one of the stocks that dropped a lot. There were a lot of articles. It went down a lot more than 13%. This was an article from February when the drop
Well, I mean,
started.
it was at 900 and it went down to, I think I picked it up in the 530s.
Yeah, well, here's the chart. I mean, you can see that that's been dropping like crazy, right? I mean, look at the rally we had and look where it dropped to. So if I get the ruler out and go from the top to the bottom, right here. So it dropped almost 40% in value, okay? It says
Mhm.
39.99%. So it dropped about 40% in value, which is huge. But here's the thing, if I zoom out on the chart, Mark, it hasn't dropped that much compared to how much it's gone up in the past year
Well,
or two, right?
exactly.
So when people are looking at this, obviously if you bought recently at $800 or $700, you've experienced a great loss. If you're someone who's been playing this for a while and making money on it, you probably almost anticipated that it would have a pretty big drop. If I get the ruler out, okay, this is from the beginning of 2020 approximately until recently. Tesla already went up 1,300% in value. So, if you were part of that rally up that it went up over 1,000% and you caught some of that, recently it dipped 40%. But unless you are a new investor in Tesla, hopefully you already made a bunch of profits and you didn't experience the whole drop down, ideally.
Yeah.
If you're a long-term investor and the stock went up for you 1,000% before going down 40%, you're probably doing okay.
I would hope so.
So it's all a matter of perspective. If you jump into something because you have they call it FOMO, the fear of missing out, and you're getting in at a higher price, such as up here or up here, well, now maybe you're down in value because you got in late in the cycle. So there are people that are probably in that position, and if you are, you might have to use the Kathy Wood approach if you're a shareholder and wait for this to turn around because now it may
Wow,
drop.
Kathy Wood was buying a crap ton
She was
throughout this whole
buying.
thing.
She
Yeah,
was
so
buying.
you saw she like she took a bit off her positions at the top, right? Like
Yeah,
she was a seller of Tesla at the top because it was too big a position in her portfolio, and then now she's a net buyer of Tesla again. I mean, I get the Kathy Wood thing like most people.
yeah, the
What she
newsletter. Yeah.
buys the newsletter every day, right? Like,
The thing with Kathy Wood is she's smart, and I don't know her numbers on Tesla. I'm just going to make up a number, but let's say that she needs to have no more than 5% weighting in Tesla in her portfolio. Well, if she owns Tesla during this portion here, and then all of a sudden it shoots up, that's what Mark's talking about, is that she was actually taking profits and selling some of her Tesla as it was going up here. And then what happened was the reason why she sold was as the value went up, Tesla was no longer 5% weighting in her portfolio. It might have been 6% because the value went up so much. So she sold some off. Now that it was dropping here, she was able to use that extra capital from taking profits on Tesla to rebuy the same shares cheaper. So she's been buying it as it's dropping now, and it's a nice way to do things. And I always tell people if you have a crazy rally like this and your RSI is starting to peak, there is nothing wrong. You do not go broke taking a big profit. And
no.
there's nothing wrong with taking profits during a big rally, even if it's just some of your position, because typically after high RSI, something can drop or go sideways for a little while. So you can use that capital elsewhere or maybe in the same stock for cheaper. Isn't that a good play, the way she did it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Kathy Wood's a very smart woman, so
One of the best on Wall Street, they say, right? So,
yeah.
um, and just to show people as well, this is one of her investment funds, ARK Investment. They have many funds. ARK K is one of the common ones here. If I just take away my technical analysis, you could see that it's been in a huge bull trend for over a year. She's been doing fantastic, best money manager on Wall Street, and now all of a sudden we've dipped. So let's get the ruler out here, and we're gonna go from the bottom, from the beginning of the COVID drop, all the way till now. She went up almost 400% in value with her picks. I mean, who the hell else is making 400% like that? It's it's pretty impressive the way she's done it. Now, how much have we dropped since then? Go from the top to the bottom here. and now she dropped over 30%. So she first went up almost 400% and then dropped about 30% recently. Again, if someone was investing in this early on, that's not that big of a drop in comparison to how much it's gone up. So did you get in later in
Yeah,
the
well,
drop?
I mean, and here's the thing, right? Unless you're going to be an active trader like Mike, even myself, I wouldn't say I'm as active as Mike is, but like that's why ETFs like Kathy's are great. If you just have like $1,000 a month to buy, it's a low cost ETF. You can buy it. She's going to do all the work. It's actively traded. She's in and out of everything, right? So she's protecting you. But you started buying, last January, you put $1,000 in over the course of the year. While you're averaging in, now you're averaging up, and then it drops. Well, you just bought lower and you just keep doing it, right? And then it's the exact same thing. I'm going to start. I haven't figured this out yet. I'm going to get your help, but that's a next week project because I'm going to start buying cryptocurrency every month, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to set it, forget it, buy like 5,000, figure out how much percentage of that is Bitcoin, how much is Ethereum, on the day I'm going to do it, and then that's it.
Okay, and just average, and that's not a bad strategy because as much as I like charting and I've been a cryptocurrency bull for a while now, um, even I know you can't time every movement in it. So if you get granted that you experience a dip in cryptos like we have recently, there was an opportunity to have grabbed some a little cheaper, and now maybe it'll go a little higher. And when you take advantage of dips in a good quality sector or company, whether it's ARK Investments or Bitcoin, it's nice to do that. And a lot of people have a habit of, hey, I don't want to spend lots of time watching the charts and being a stock picker, but the market just crashed. I might want to put some money in there. And a lot of people did that after the March pullback, and they did that after the 2008 crash and other ones along the way. And that's another style of investing, whether it's the only way you invest or it's an addition to what we already do,
Yeah.
right? So it's a very smart way to do it. And the recent drop that just happened here, there's a lot of people that have been loading up, including Kathy Wood, because they do not believe this is the end. They just believe it is a dip within the bull rally that is still to come.
Well, again, I mean, you've showed the bull trend. I don't know how many times on my channel, your channel, in your Facebook group. We dropped down to the bottom of that bull channel,
There it is.
right?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So, and now the thing
It,
is, just to point out to people too, just like in football, you got to call an audible sometimes. The channel was originally up here when we were talking about it because the data, the old data, was traveling in that channel. Once the GameStop event happened, it widened out our channel and we had to bring it down here. Well, look what we did recently, Mark, as you just pointed out. We fell out of the channel for one day. The very next day, we went back up in that channel, and here we go. And here we go. So, after all of that noise, after all of that drama, look where we are. We're right back in the same channel again.
yeah. So I remember we were banging on top of that channel, and that's when I got like I basically said, okay, I'm going to take a little time here and you know take some profits, do some stuff outside, and
Yeah.
so
And for anyone who's in my group, my Invest Like Mike group on Facebook, if you're a coaching student of mine, I had a training course in January, and I have some coaching students where I've been doing some extra video follow-up sessions with them. I warned everyone right here during my follow-up sessions. I said, hey, we're at the top of the channel. Look what happened this time. Look what happened when we went to the top of the channel this time. I don't know if it's going to be a small pullback or a big pullback, I said, but we're at the top of the channel. It's quite likely that in the coming week or two, we could take a little trip down towards the bottom of the channel. That's exactly what we did. And I didn't know it was going to happen in that exact timing. But as Mark just said, we're never going to time the top perfectly. And at the end of the day, if you arbitrarily take profits when something is looking like it's at either the top of the channel or the RSI is peaking out on a parabolic move like it did for Tesla, there is nothing wrong with taking profits and having some cash on the side. And, I should point this out too, Mark. We're looking at the post-election rally right here. That's the post-election jump. And from then onwards, we went through this channel to the upside. When you have a catalyst and it has already worked for, I would even say 1 to 2 months, okay? At some point after that 1 to 2 month range, you should expect a dip to come and you should not expect to time it perfectly by waiting for it. So a lot of people when they got in here, Mark, I'm sure you would agree, A lot of people said, I'm getting in here, and at some point in either January or February, I have to take some profits and go to cash in some manner. And why did people do that? Because you want to wait usually a couple months after a big catalyst, and people don't like taking profits in December when they had a good year. They'd rather take the profits in January or February, and you delay paying taxes.
Yeah,
So,
you sell your capital losses in December and your capital gains in January.
and that's exactly what happened. If you look here in January, there was the GameStop dip, right? In February, there was this dip. That's a lot of profit taking for people that made money this whole way up, I believe. And we didn't know the exact week it would happen, but we've been saying since November when we got in, we plan to probably take profits in January or February. We're just not sure exactly when. And what did we do? We waited for it to go to the top of the channel here, and we arbitrarily took profits. Some people arbitrarily took profits here, Mark, right?
Yep.
So at the end of the day, that's an important strategy. And you're a real estate guy, Mark. I mean, if you're purchasing apartment buildings and you're doing the renovations, if you're always tapped out and you don't have any equity left in your buildings and you don't have any line of credit, you will miss out on every deal that comes up after that,
Yep.
right? So the same philosophy should apply in stocks that once you have a catalyst and you've made money for a couple months or maybe even less, if the stock skyrockets independently, you might want to look at taking some profits along the way. And you know what? I interviewed Ben Gallagher, and one of the quotes he said, there's always another bus. There's always
Yeah.
another bus.
Well, that's it, right? So if I miss that real estate deal, like the streetcar, another one will come along in 10 minutes. As
Yeah,
long
and
as you're looking, right? As long as you're active in the market, real estate, stocks, whatever it is, the next deal will come along. So
yeah,
I got into Tesla on Friday, and right away it rebounded and I made 20% in a day. So I got out of it, and then I basically got in it again yesterday when it went down, and then I was up another 20% today on it, right? So, and I did the same with Uber and Palantir.
hey, you got it.
Yeah.
um,
And now it's running a little bit. And you know what? I might just wait, and once it gets above a certain level again, I might get in. But I'm okay with being out of it right now and taking my profit and being good.
And the thing is too that you got in, and whether you got lucky or whatever happened, it turned around right away for you. If it hadn't, maybe you'd have had to stick in there and wait, another week for it to turn around possibly.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you chose enough of an expiry to handle that,
I
right?
had a June 600.
There you go. See? Now, here's an important thing to show people. Again, when I'm doing my training course, I go into great detail with this. You got to choose a longer expiry when times are not certain. Okay? When you don't have certainty and nonstop bullishness anymore in the market, if you're going to be buying some call options, you have to go longer dated on the expiry. You can also buy shares. There are different times to invest different ways. And if you do not adjust, you will be punished for it. And there's times when you're selling puts or buying calls or doing any of these things where if you do not adjust your formula, if you do not adjust your expiry, and even the amount of money you're putting into each investment, you can get punished because we don't know when it's going to turn around exactly or when they were going to do the stimulus. So, let's go look over here now. The Senate passed the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. And that came out of nowhere over the weekend, right? If that hadn't happened over the weekend, we could have had a much more painful week this week, probably. So
Yep.
that was good news on the weekend. Now, it's not officially passed, in case anyone's confused. The House passed it a couple weeks ago. The Senate just passed it. You'd figure it's done now. Well, it's not, because after the House passed it, some changes were made, and now they have to pass it again with the new
Yeah.
changes that were made. So we don't have stimulus yet, folks. If you're watching this, I was telling people over the weekend, be careful. We're still on the point where we don't have stimulus officially, and the House needs to pass it. I fully believe that they will pass it. Here it says they plan to approve it on Tuesday, and that would be today. So let's see if that happens. But it could be delayed, right? They could fight over something silly, and it could be delayed to Monday next week for all we know. So be patient. Use the longer expiries. I believe it's on the way and it's coming. And you can see that the Dow Jones has already reacted, which is why Mark was able to make some money on Tesla and other things like that. So, one thing I wanted to mention here is if they print that money, whenever they announce it officially, I do believe the market will rebound. And now we just had such a nice drop in stocks that it's justified, in my opinion, for us to go up upon the printing of stimulus. I also think Bitcoin's going to turn around, Mark. You just started talking about cryptos, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Um, Kevin O'Leary just reversed his stance on cryptocurrencies publicly. So if you look at the bottom here, Kevin O'Leary, his Bitcoin 180 and why 100K price is not crazy. So he was on TV calling it garbage, like making fun of it, calling it garbage and garbage weekly, laughing at people about it. He actually secretly has owned cryptocurrencies, Mark, since 2017. He admitted that in that video, but he couldn't say it publicly because he runs financial products that he sells people, and he's governed by certain areas that could get him in trouble if he speaks about what he owns. So he waited until Canadian exchanges and other exchanges started authorizing and getting behind cryptos to even admit he was in it. And he was making fun of it the whole time, right? So,
That, that's why I don't pay attention to those things, because I know that you know you got to look behind the curtain on all those, right? So
and the one thing I should point out, he's a billionaire, and he said, he goes, I'm putting 3% of my money into cryptocurrency. That's a lot of money for him. I don't know how many millions he put into cryptocurrencies, but that's a lot of money. And notice how that falls in line with what Elon Musk did. And RBC is recommending that Apple buys 5% weighting. Kramer publicly said that he's bought Bitcoin in the past month or so after Elon. And he said it would be silly for big companies not to follow Elon. Why wouldn't you hedge yourself against inflation? And Kevin O'Leary agrees. There's 1.9 trillion reasons to own some Bitcoin right now.
well, there's that, and there's also if people are going to use it transact, you're going to need a base, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
because it does swing a little bit wildly. So you're going to want a store that you can say, okay, well, I can exchange in this and do other things, right? So
It's just being used as a hedge for people. Oftentimes people buy gold as a hedge. If you study how much gold has gone up compared to Bitcoin, there's no comparison. Bitcoin has gone up far more in the past year or two. And because of that, Kevin O'Leary probably owns some gold and some Bitcoin. He doesn't want to miss out on that opportunity now. So
yeah.
I think that'll be good for all of us as investors. Ethereum recently, they announced that they're going to be making Ethereum more scarce. That was never part of the program. I posted it to my group recently. Ethereum, they will purposely start destroying some of the Ethereum and make it more scarce and more valuable. So I think it's going to be something interesting. I'm gonna pull something out here and just this is something I showed during the Benj Gallagher interview too. Have you ever seen one of these, Mark?
Oh, the Zimbabwe.
This is a Zimbabwe $100 trillion bill I'm holding in my hands. This is a
Yeah.
hundred
You're a
trillion dollar bill.
trillionaire.
Okay, I'm a trillionaire. Okay, now this is no longer legal tender. Their currency went kaput, and it's not even a legal tender anymore. Okay, so what happened was inflation got so out of hand there. They printed so much money, nowhere near what the United States is doing. Okay, but they ruined their dollar so much that this $100 trillion will probably buy you some bread and some eggs. Okay.
Well, and so everyone knows there is a difference between Zimbabwe and the United States. Um, Even if the United States printed all that money, the United States borrows their money in US dollars, right?
They do.
Where Zimbabwe borrows their money in foreign currency
Yeah.
from outside the world, right? So therefore, they can't control the levers as much as the US can.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I do not believe that we're going to have a Zimbabwe hyperinflation event, obviously in America. That's not my point with showing that piece of
I know.
currency there, obviously, right? But at the end of the day, we will have devaluation of our dollar, right?
Well,
And
I mean, listen, that's their stated mission, right? That they're going to devalue the currency 2% every year. Like that's their goal.
yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly.
are they going to do it a little more coming out of this? Because if they devalue it, then their debt is less, and obviously they've run up a big debt. So, I mean, it's quite likely.
Yeah, and I mean, the Zimbabwe, you can look up articles on this, and there's a lot of writing and articles on this showing what happened. And, they've been going through hyperinflation. This is from 2019, Mark. They've been going through this. I bought that probably 8 years ago. They've been going through hyperinflation forever because
Oh,
they have
long
a
time.
we're told they have a corrupt government and they I think it's more of a communist type of a dictatorship and they've been going through a rougher cycle than the type of inflation we're experiencing, right? But it's a good lesson on how far it could go, right? So it's
Yeah.
just one of those things that I always keep that around, and it's just a lesson. It's an icebreaker, conversation maker for people who aren't even aware of what that is, right? So
I
it's
see it's in mint condition though.
and you know what the funny thing is? That thing would buy you less and less goods when it was a currency. Ever since it was canceled, it's now a collectible. I've made 400% on
Of course you have.
that. So as soon as they canceled the currency, it's a beautiful thing, I guess, right?
Maybe
Um,
I'll trade you my Wayne Gretzky jersey for some Bitcoin.
there you go. That could be a good trade. That could be a good trade. Um, Now, in terms of what could people have done while the market was dropping, Mark? This is something I try to point out to people. Um, you can always go the other way. A lot of people are used to buying calls on the way up. You can buy puts or sell calls on the way down. And here's an example of a stock. This is Costco. I love Costco. I go shopping there. I gas up there. But their chart started rolling over. So if I get my technicals out, you see it was making higher highs all the time here. Well, then it started making lower highs. If you look here, every high was a lower high after that. When you have a pattern of that happening, you have lower highs and lower lows happening. Typically, that's something I like to bet against when that's happening. So I actually made money as Costco was going down here. And when we were in this sideways area here, Mark, I was recommending to my coaching students, I said, watch this chart. And I said, I believe there's an area under which it can fall a lot more. Well, look what happened. When the market rolled over, Costco took a nosedive. And you could have
Yep.
made money profiting from something that, in my opinion, was obviously already in a bear trend and waiting to fall lower. And there you go, right? So
Just needed a catalyst.
you just needed a catalyst. So you can pick your target. I mean, you could have even picked Tesla. Michael Burry and Bill Gates have been short Tesla in a public manner. Elon Musk talked about Bill Gates being short Tesla on Joe Rogan recently. Well, look what happened to Tesla, and people have been waiting for it to drop the whole time. It needed the right catalyst. And you can see this area here, Mark, it dropped below that area. There's your signal to have shorted Tesla right there. And
Hmm.
you could have made money on the way down to recoup some of the losses you might have made when it started dropping, right? Or just made
Yeah.
extra income.
Yeah. I don't like to hold things very long. So,
No, and then you're good at taking your profits actually, right? And getting out
oh,
for a
geez,
profit.
look, yeah, my put probably would have been up a lot more, or my call. Now
Yeah,
it's at 6:30.
it's jumped up quite a bit now, right? So, um, there's things that have been really, really turning around. So, one more thing I just want to go over with you here, since you talked about Bitcoin, I pointed this out. Here's my technical analysis that I posted in my group just yesterday. So this is a fresh signal. Okay, so when something is in a downtrend like this, I wait for it to break out of that downtrend, and then I say to myself, do we have a recent resistance that it can go above? Or in this case, did it just create a peak above which we can have a breakout? Well, I believe we have a breakout signal right here, Mark. This is the way I taught you the charting. This is my breakout signal. I think Bitcoin should go and could go a lot higher right now. That's what
You
I
think it
think.
might, it looks like it's forming a cup.
It looks like we're forming a cup here. And remember when we went through the charting, Mark? Cup and handles are a beautiful thing to see. And you know why? Because when you have a big rise up, it's common to have a cup form before the next big move up. Well, I
Yeah.
think we just did another one. I think we just did another one. And when you see a cup and you see it drop, go flat, and break upwards again like this, that's a very bullish. That's exactly what we're doing right now. So I think that this is a holding pattern within a bull trend, and it wants to go higher right now. So, this is something I'm watching really closely. Ethereum has done the same thing, and I think this is something that will really benefit people who are holding it at the moment. I think it's going to go quite a bit higher, and I know that Ethereum itself should go quite a bit higher as well, in my opinion, because they're going to make it a little bit more rare from what I've heard recently as well. So
So maybe I should sell some Mara puts.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, if the value of these things go up, Mara or Riot should go up. Just know that those are more speculative and people will dump those off and sell them at a moment's notice if something happens. And the recent pullback in Bitcoin proved that the value
Oh
of
yeah,
Mara and Riot dropped far more significantly than the value of Bitcoin did because it's really easy to sell your shares or your positions on your regular stock exchange websites. If you're a crypto investor and you've moved your money to a crypto website, you're probably a long-term investor and you're probably going to leave it there more often, right? So there is a difference there for sure. But I'm glad that you're going to be doing that because I think it will benefit you. And over time, as Kevin O'Leary and everyone agrees, I think we'll have it over $100,000 this year with Bitcoin. And Ethereum should go quite a bit higher as well. So let's hope that that happens for you,
yeah.
right?
Well, here's the thing. I think if you're just doing that and you're setting aside the money every month, it's like an ETF, right? There's very low cost to get in, and it's just a hedge, right? Instead of buying gold and silver and stuff like that, that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, I just did 20 Maras for $30 puts for Friday. So
You sold the puts, Mark?
I sold the puts.
Okay.
I kind of don't like buying calls on it because you get thing for lunch. So I like that. So I have what? I have a good cushion, $4.50.
Yeah.
So
And for anyone wondering, if you're not familiar with selling puts, basically a put contract is someone who will benefit from the item like Mara here, in this case, Bitcoin dropping. He's selling them a contract because Mark feels it will not drop, right? So the person who he sells this contract to will benefit if it drops. Mark will benefit if the price stays the same or goes up. He will actually receive a premium from that person and make money. So
yep.
it's a
So I
good
just
deal.
made $2,000, and we'll see what happens.
There you go. Hopefully you get to keep all of it. So there you go.
I'll probably buy it out at some point before
Yeah,
close. So
if it decays along the way, just take your profits, right?
yeah,
At the end of the day. So, okay. Well, at the end here, I just want to share my screen again here. If anyone's confused on any of these topics or anything that I've been going over, I do have another training course coming up, and we had the last one in January, and we have another one coming up in April here. We had a bunch of people that were asking when the next one would be. So it actually lines up perfectly with when the next stimulus is coming. We have a nice testimonial here from Mr. Loeffler here. And I have all the information here on the website. It's going to be happening in April. You still have time to sign up here. I'm going to go through everything. I'm going to go through my exact thesis and the way I invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum, how I do my charting, what you can do when there's a market drop happening. When should you take some profits? How can you protect yourself in those type of a situation? And how to handle things like call options. Because if you don't do them right, you can blow up your account, and you can do it in a risky way where it's actually not going to benefit you. So I think it's important. And, we've gone over a lot of those things, and there's a few new tricks I want to show you because we haven't had our coaching sessions in a couple weeks. There's a couple of new things that we'll go over that I think you'll find pretty interesting as well. Um,
awesome.
so that'll be good stuff. Okay, well, until our next one here, let's just try to enjoy life, enjoy some restaurants and things in the meantime. And maybe we'll do another video with your channel coming up as well, and we'll keep sharing our knowledge with everyone here.
Sounds good.
Okay, enjoy the rest of
All
your
right.
day, Mark.
You too, bud.
Take care.